the Community Consolidated School District 46 Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, October 12th, 2022, 6:30 p.m. here at Frederick School. I need a call to order and a roll call, please.
Weedman.
Here.
Mack.
Here.
Braden.
Here.
Albert.
Here.
And LaCroix.
Here. Okay, that gives us a quorum. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next is I need a motion to approve the agenda, including the addition of the personnel addendum.
So moved.
Second.
Mack.
Aye.
Albert.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
And LaCroix.
Aye.
Okay, we don't have anybody signed up for public comment. So next we have a presentation by Adam Petraglia about Bricks of Hope.
Better now? Oh, there we go. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Adam Petraglia, and I'm the founder and executive director of a local nonprofit called Bricks of Hope. I started this organization in December of last year after my own personal journey with childhood cancer over 20 years ago. Today, our mission is to create play and inspire imagination in sick kids during their hospital stays with the simple gift of Lego. But I'm here tonight to highlight what your students did at the end of last school year to carry out this mission. In April and May of this year, students at Avon Center School and Meadowview School in this district stepped up and led brick drives. With the help of their teachers and staff, their families and friends, and most importantly, their passion and energy, they collected new Lego sets to be delivered to sick kids during their hospital stays. Here are a couple pictures for you guys to check out them in action here. For me personally, I was blown away by their excitement to make such a big difference for other kids in need. These kids literally made homemade signs. As you can see here, I think on the next slide I've got another. They were passionate about collecting. They ran to the large box every single day to see how many more new Lego sets were donated. As you can also tell, they were diligently counting, collecting, organizing the Lego sets every day. And in total, these students collected over 200 new Lego sets that were then delivered to sick kids at Advocate Children's Hospital, Loyola University Children's Hospital, and Rush University Children's Hospital this summer. Now, you'll see in some of these pictures, I think on my next slide here, and maybe the final one, as a small token of their amazing effort, Student Council was given a small backpack pin to hold on to. On this pin, it reads, "I'm a golden pal. I helped create play and build hope in sick kids with the gift of Lego bricks." These students are that and so much more. They truly did something very special, and I hope you all are just as proud as I am for each of these students for their amazing acts of generosity and kindness in helping other kids in need. They are certainly an outstanding representation of this district and this community. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and sharing that with us. Does anybody have any questions for Adam? Is this something that you would like to continue on with? Obviously, you have this program, but or with other school districts, or continue with District 46?
Absolutely. To date, as a whole, Bricks of Hope since December has donated, has made 12 deliveries to local children's hospitals, totaling over 1,200 Lego sets. So we've done brick drives at local schools, businesses, toy stores, anything that we can do to collect as many Lego sets as we can to make sure that play is always there and available for these kids. from my own personal experience, treatment isn't seasonal, so we can't be either, right? If they're there in July and August, we need to make sure they're a Lego set. So absolutely, an opportunity to really empower kids to give back. I think that was the key piece, is kids know how much joy they get from a Lego set. So be able to translate that into something where they can give back to other kids in need. Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we are up to board reports. Does any board member have anything to report out? Jessica?
I have quite a lot, but I'll try to not take up too much time. Just want to say the Frederick Campout was a huge success. Over 500 people registered. Not sure if you're able to see pictures online. It was a very fun night, reptile show and everything, and so I want to thank Mr. Will, the staff, the administrators for getting pies in the face, and all the volunteers who helped make that such a fun community and placemaking event. Foundation 46 update. The scavenger hunts at the schools went well. They're hoping to bring those back in the springtime. The Market Day and Amazon Smile fundraising is underway. The go-kart race is moved to November 13th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Park Campus. The grant committee just closed their application period, and they'll be reviewing applications soon, and then a new application round will open up in January. The CEC now, the Community Engagement Committee. Food drive, November 12th through 13th, similar to last year's, or couple past years' timing with that, like the fall and spring food drives. The school nights out have also been underway, and I want to call attention with gratitude to the immense communication and collaboration that is happening between the people on the Community Engagement Committee and these volunteers and what they're doing for just for their love of the district and the wider community. A couple of things that were mentioned in the CEC meeting that pertain to the Wold discussion later. Avon has formed an outdoor classroom committee, and they've had their first meeting with success in outlining objectives and hopes. Meadowview has its first Woodland Day this Friday. Woodview parent Dion Leonhardt has been volunteering her time and energy to provide activities during recess, and 50 to 70% of the students are participating in those activities. And they include things like seed collection, radish harvest, bug hotel, and other things. And she has plans for even winter activities too, as far as I know. And then I just want to add that Frederick Campout was a huge success again, ties to the outdoor environment that we provide here. And then lastly, the solar bike tour on September 24th was a huge success. It was very fun to show off the solar panels on our buildings and just show off other schools, as I purposely rode us by a couple other schools. And one of the elders on the ride shared that his heart was happy because we had the chance to talk, and he learned about things that he was unaware of that were going on in the schools. And I just really, I'm willing to do more like bike rides with the board member type of thing. So just want to throw that out there. All right. Thank you.
Jason, Christie? No? Okay. Next, we're up to the superintendent report.
Great. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't greet you earlier, so thank you for being here and for your wonderful mission. And we're really so happy to be able to participate in that. Thank you for highlighting it. Excuse me, board, as you know, we had our Institute Day last Friday. It was a very successful day. I will share that the morning was really successful and heavy because in the morning we did ALICE training for our staff. So all of our staff were learning about the new response that we'll have in the event of a critical incident, right? In the event of an intruder in a school. So that wasn't fun for anybody, but the staff really did a wonderful job of understanding how important it is, and notably our principals were just outstanding in terms of how they shared information. We were really very pleased. And then I'm going to hand it over to Amy Gluck to talk about the afternoon from Institute Day.
Thanks. So the afternoon we continued work together and a lot of learning. So there were differentiated job alikes where some were focused on things, on some of their work related to assessment, prioritizing some of the new standards in some of the curricular areas that have new state standards. And everyone who is implementing our new literacy resources received a half a day working on our literacy work. So a lot of great things that were happening. In addition, our program assistants were in session for the full day, so they participated in ALICE in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they continued some learning on the topics of understanding culture and bias, and also high expectations for all students. So really engaged them in some learning too. So it was a great day.
Thank you. Back for a moment to Alice. I just want to remind everyone that we have 2 parent-guardian information nights coming up. One tomorrow night, 6:30 at GMS, and next Wednesday at Park Campus, also at 6:30. Next, I'm going to share something from Dr. Chris Woke. He is not here tonight because he's at a national conference, but he did ask me to share the following with you, which is that he has been presenting to teacher prep classes at CLC. I'm just going to read to you the little blurb he shared with me. Last week, Chris Woke met with approximately 60 students in 3 classes at College of Lake County who were enrolled in education courses due to their interest in becoming teachers. The original purpose of this visit was to present to students how they could gain valuable field-related experience today by becoming a paraprofessional. The presentations quickly evolved into discussions lasting over 90 minutes, in which students asked questions pertaining to every aspect of the profession. Chris and Professor Jay Wiltshire have already begun planning for next semester's visit. So we are thrilled about that. Anytime we can be talking with people about the joys and the important work of becoming an educator, we are all about it. I want to share some information from Lake County, and this is information that we'll be sharing out, I think, next week, just through an update that I'll send to the entire district. Lake County Rental Assistance Program. So beginning yesterday, Lake County renters who faced financial hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic may apply for the new Lake County Rental Assistance Program, which provides help for individuals who are paying rent. The application period will run from yesterday to November 15th, and households can receive up to 6 months of assistance with rent. To qualify for help, residents must pay rent in Lake County, have a financial hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that might be job loss, furlough, reduced work hours due to school closures, unexpected medical or other expenses. They need to be at risk of homelessness or housing instability. That doesn't mean right there at homelessness or being unhoused, obviously, because they're paying rent, but at risk of it. Perhaps they have some overdue bills and they're starting to worry about being unhoused. They need to meet income guidelines based on household size, and they have to have not received 6 or more months of assistance from past programs that are similar. And they have to be able to provide appropriate documentation. I will share more information in writing, but I thought that was really something worth sharing. For a link to the application, visit Lake County, Illinois, or lakecountyill.gov/renthelp. And I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Lorenzo to talk about the Gold Circle Award.
Good evening, everyone. As you likely already know, our early childhood program houses 2 programs essentially, and one being our special education program for our 3 to 5-year-olds, and the second being our preschool for all, which serves students who are deemed at risk on a variety of indicators. That Preschool for All program comes with grant funding through the state, and as a result, we are required to be audited on a rotation basis. So in 2021, during the remote/hybrid kind of year, we endured a really heavy, intensive desk review, and that's looking at all of our materials and language and communication. And then last year, we were surprised with round 2 of on-site audit. which includes 2 evaluators entering our classrooms for 2 days and watching every nuance in the classroom and applying a rating. So I want to make a special mention to the PFA teachers and the paraprofessionals involved in those classrooms that have preschool for all students in the classroom, but it's really important to mention that it takes a team of the entire ECC group to pull this off. So the PFA teachers are Jim Fry and his paraprofessional Sandy Hornung. Julie Alghini is one of the teachers with her paraprofessional Lexi Craig, and Vula Ernst and her paraprofessional Danielle Norberg were all audited, and Sue Hobson was incredible as an administrative assistant, helping with a lot of the clerical duties, and Jenna Donahue just does a wonderful job leading that and supporting our staff through that. So I want to celebrate that. As a result of the audit, we received an Accelerate rating of the Gold Circle of Quality, which is the top rating that we can receive in the state of Illinois. So I'm very excited to celebrate our team.
Thanks, Heather. Oops.
Got a smile for the camera.
And we'll hand it off to finish up. Amy Gluck is going to share information from the Equity and Inclusion Committee meeting that occurred last week, and also talk about a scholarship opportunity that we have over at GMS.
Thanks. We met for the Equity and Inclusion meeting for our second meeting on October 3rd, and during that meeting we spent some time working on our committee norms refresh, and had some great conversation about that, and then had an update from DELT about the work that occurred at our first DELT meeting. And we also then followed up with all the questions that the committee had from Dr. Dubiel and related to the equity audit. So anything else you want to add?
No, I just would say that DELT is the District Equity Leadership Team, correct?
Yes, you got it right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do love acronyms.
We
in
do. It's a good one.
education.
It's a good one.
We do.
I'm excited. I just would share with the rest of the board as a committee member, I'm really excited to have you guys see what the DELT is going to bring to the board. There's some really great work happening, and I feel like really good use of the data that was collected during the audit, and I feel like it serves the audit data well, but I feel like it even goes beyond. So you can kind of see both Dr. Dubiel's contribution, but you can see the contributions of our district within it as well. So looking forward to that.
Thanks. And the second piece or the next piece I'm going to share is an exciting opportunity. The Lake County Regional Office of Education offered a scholarship opportunity to the Raising Student Achievement Conference that is coming up in December in Schaumburg, and a team from GMS applied and they received the scholarship. So really exciting. They will be spending 2 days in December. The conference, like I said, is in Schaumburg, and they receive a full scholarship for 3 people. It needs to include at least 1 administrator and at least 1 teacher. And then the third person, they will determine who that will be. So I know they're Mr. Smith and Mr. Gross are really excited about the scholarship opportunity.
And I just want to add that this is a perfect example of we're always careful to say, we don't want to say post-COVID, right? We're all nervous about saying that, but post lots of emphasis on COVID, how's that? This is a perfect example of that refocus back on teaching and learning and really making a difference for kids in that way. So we're really excited. And that brings us to the end of the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. And as a reminder, that also includes our personnel addendum we got earlier.
So moved.
I'll second.
Braden,
Aye.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Albert,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye. And that brings us up to, I'll make sure I didn't lose my spot, as I'm prone to do. Action items. The first one is a motion to approve the WOLD proposals for utilization and capacity study and the educational alignment report. Does anybody have any questions on that, or? Go ahead.
A couple things. Will one workshop be enough? It's mentioned on page 2, I believe, that involves the community. Let me pull it up here. I just have a desire to include as many voices as possible, and I'm a little leery of one meeting or workshop accomplishing that, but.
Well, I don't think we know the answer to that. I think I can just share the following. It was what they recommended. Certainly, they will be more than happy. I am positive they'll be more than happy to do more than one workshop, more than one evening. We'll pay for that, right? So I think then the board just has to consider if you want to increase what we'd be paying for Wold, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's when we were talking about this with Mr. Icon, he was describing this as a way to gather as much information as possible at the beginning of the process, and then for it to filter through for the various groups that will have more decision making. So various groups like teaching and learning, our teachers, the building administrators, building leadership, as well as the board who makes the final decision. So if we don't get enough information from that, we would just obviously add an extra one. And that would be additional time that would probably build outside of the scope of this. That was probably how we would do it. I don't think it's going to substantially increase the cost of this, but it would be more billable time, which is going to be a cost. So yes, we could do it if we needed, but we'll probably do the first one as per the engagement letter. And if you feel like, or anybody feels like there isn't enough input, we can add an extra session.
Any other questions? Okay.
I do have another one. Sorry. How does Wold, or do we choose which audit list for that sustainability assessment? And, okay.
So, after the last meeting, we had a meeting with Wald based on what we heard from the board. And we asked them and said, hey, what do you think is a good metric to increase sustainability as part of this assessment? And this is what they came up with using their lens of an architect. So everything that they're doing here is something that they're familiar with, and they were actually very excited to do it. What we actually heard from them was, oh, this is really cool. We would love to do this for more school districts. Let's do this as part of our assessment going forward. So it's something that they are leading with rather than us telling them, hey, we wish to have sustainability criteria as part of an evaluation of our learning environments. So this is something that they're running with. They're going to do it with fidelity, with what they told us. And we look forward to seeing the results. That hopefully it's something that the board gets what they want in terms of that area of assessment.
Thank you. Yeah, I would, the first one, U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon School of the Three Pillars, jumped out at me as being the best one. That's just my opinion. Especially since we already have a green ribbon school in our district, I think it would be easy to communicate what they find to our community, so.
I have a quick question. I know that other board members have mentioned alternative platforms for the scoring. I know the CHPS one is mentioned on here, the Collaboration for High Performing Schools, but I believe another board member had mentioned a different one, I believe. It was the AccuScore or the ARC score. Is that something that they are aware of? Or if we approve this, it simply is what's listed here, as you just said? Or is there any type of conversation that can be? Am I saying the right?
I did ask Mr. Icon that, and he said he's not familiar with that, but he will look into it. So,
okay. So that's something that can be
Absolutely.
talked about at least, or
Yeah, this
even-
is to get the
even-
engagement going.
Okay,
So if we say to them, hey, we wish to have this part of it, we can do that.
okay. Thank you.
And I think they're actually linked because they're all connected to the U.S.
This one
Green
with the-
Building Council,
okay.
ARC, SCORU,
Okay.
and Green Ribbon Schools.
It's our school, yeah, it's a
So I
name
think
can
that
never
it
quite
would be
remember.
easy to connect it all.
So does the Green Ribbon School, it sounds like what you're saying though, is that the Green Ribbon School might be more of an umbrella that covers?
I think it's an
Some of
award
those
system to
potential-
call attention to things that schools and school districts are doing, and then
Mhm.
it's a way to highlight those things, and then a link to more resources.
Okay.
But I'm not a Green Ribbon School expert, so don't quote me.
All with the outcome of giving us the information that we need.
In a
like
way that the
visual,
community
like
can
like a visual,
understand.
yeah, that we
Yeah.
can, okay.
That would be my criteria, is just something that the community can digest and that we can digest easily as well.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll make the motion to approve that.
I will second that.
Weedman,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
LaCroy,
Aye.
and Albert.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the purchase of 400 go bags. I know we had a brief email that went out about it. If you want to explain that for us? Sure. For the public more.
Sure, my pleasure. This is just a necessary purchase for the safety of our students and our staff, so that in the event of any kind of a crisis where everyone had to exit, these bags would go with our staff in order to be able to keep everyone safe. I'm going to actually hand it over to Mr. Halpern, who can just list a few of the items. Don't read the whole thing, but just a few of the items that are in the bags.
Thank you, Dr. Glickman. Welcome, everybody. Some of the items that are in the bag are more for obviously the safety in the event of any type of emergency we might have. We'll have some bottles of water, snacks for the children or staff. There would be paper, mechanical flashlights, since we don't have to replace batteries. It's kind of a pain at times, but it works. Clipboards, blankets, emergency Band-Aids, safety vest, cups, miscellaneous items that we would need to get by for a couple hours until reunification or everybody's back together. There would also, sorry about that, in case needed, items to break windows to get out of classrooms, or also to hold doors shut, whatever the case may be.
So these bags are the size of small vehicles?
So
Can they, can,
once you pull everything out, I don't expect it to go back in. They're clear backpacks, your regular size of a backpack. So even in the event of a fire drill, they take it with them and they go with their red and green cards. So they're holding up, they have all the kids, but just in case anything. Could be a stub of a toe. Or a trip over of a curb.
A curb. Anybody else have any questions or inappropriate comments? Okay. I'll make the motion to approve that, the purchase of 400 go bags.
I'll second.
LaCroy,
aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Albert,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye. Okay, unfinished business. One item on the unfinished business list is a discussion of the Grays Lake Economic Development Committee board member volunteer. Remember correctly, last board meeting, Mayor Taylor was in the building, gave a whole presentation on what the village does for economic growth inside the village. And they were looking for a member of our board to serve on a volunteer committee to make recommendations and decisions and stuff like that regarding how our board would be able to help with economic incentives and stuff like that. So they're looking for somebody to volunteer to sit on that board. If anybody doesn't have, I wouldn't mind sitting on that unless somebody else wants to, but I don't have a problem sitting on that. At least we know for the next 2 years could be the same person sitting on it, right? But if everybody's okay with it, I don't mind sitting on that.
Can I mean, I'm fine with that, and I had one just kind of something I've been noodling a little bit after that I thought I might bring up too, if that's okay.
Sure.
I was just thinking about this idea that economic development is everyone's business responsibility. Like that was kind of the thesis of the presentation. I don't know. I don't know if that's, I appreciate the committee, but I don't know if I'm signed up yet for it's our job to build economic development in town. And then the reason that I was thinking about it this week is because I flipped it and I thought of our mission and I thought is educating children everyone's responsibility? You know, it just kind of was an interesting way to think about how do we make this like mutual, and is there an ask we have of our 7 communities? I don't know, you know, not anything for us to answer tonight, but I don't know that just what was on my mind after hearing the discussion.
No, I think you make some very valid points, and as those that were on the board at the time they came for us the last ask, you saw us pushing back quite a bit on many of those type of topics of, you know, what does that cost the district, you know, by putting forth this incentive? What does it mean to us in the form of full-time employees, right? A teacher, or a classroom, or supplies, or books, or curriculum. When you start talking $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 over a short period of time, that makes a difference, right? The other flip to that too is if you can bring in the growth without severely impacting the district, you actually end up growing more dollars into the school district to help pay. So there's got to be some sort of balance in there, and I think it behooves us to sit on that committee and you know, have a voice and have a say in it, what's going on.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of intergovernmental collaboration. I'm just, you know, interested in, you know, what is our role, but I'm really glad that, like, it feels like it's more proactive than it has been in the past.
Right.
Which I think was if I remember, because I was newer to the board when it happened, but the last time one came, it was even less about the money and more about, it was kind of it was like, here's what we did. Here's the deal we made, please approve it.
Right.
Versus, we're thinking about this, what does
They didn't get our
everyone
input
think?
ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that was one of our complaints when we had that conversation was, we didn't have any input in this whole thing, and then you just came to us. And I think this might be their way of trying to rectify that, as if they have listened to what we were saying.
And so one thing I would add to piggyback off of Mrs. Braden's comment is, when you go into the first committee meetings, I'd love to see the first conversation being around setting the norms and the processes by which that committee is, which I'm assuming is going to happen, but maybe not necessarily, because I think that would, what I don't want to see is that it simply becomes a rubber stamp for all the governing bodies in that committee meeting, right? Like, we're here as a committee, yes, you're sitting on a board, so you're a committee, yes, you have a voice, but in the very end, it's simply just kind of playing lip service to the fact that we've got all the governing bodies together without any real actual structure. So if that's not in the plan, so I'd like to see a mission and a vision statement of the committee that's more in depth than what the mayor provided that evening. I found the presentation around that committee to be incredibly vague. So I'd like to see actual, you know, and I'd like each of the, or this is my recommendation to you, I'd like to see an actual structure of how that committee is going to act and what each voice is going to have at that table, rather than it simply being a committee that says we're bringing all the governing bodies together, but the decisions are already made.
Yeah,
Or however that conversation can happen.
right, and I would never I would hope anybody who sit on this board or this committee as a volunteer to discuss the economics of the school district would ever walk out of there and say, I made a deal for the district without discussing it with the board and having a formal vote from the board. So that would be just wrong on many levels, yeah.
I think for nothing else, I think there was a bit of an aha. Just the terms that were only 63% funded was a bit of an aha.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think even that alone was probably worth the price of the presentation.
Sure.
And hopefully those kinds of discussions can continue, just educating other governmental bodies that it is awesome that you can hold the line on your tax levy because you're apparently 100% funded.
Yeah. And have different revenue sources.
Yeah. So I see it as much as an education venue as anything else, and for you to be able to, bring some of that information to the community. So.
Yeah, I think it's also good to get that line of sight into what's being talked about, maybe some advanced visibility into things that are coming this body's way. But if the idea of this development committee is to make more likely that future asks for abatements, for instance, are approved at the different governing bodies, I don't think that's a good, if that's the intent, that's not a good intent.
Right.
But if nothing else, right, the visibility that we'll get from our presence there is good.
Yeah, I'd just piggyback on what everybody else said, because after that meeting, I ended up reading the Meeting the Challenges and Winning the Competition document created by the Village Economic Development Commission. And there were just a couple things that made me curious, like what does that really mean regarding different stakeholders and taxing districts. And so I guess probably make sure you look at that. And
Yep. Anything else? So everybody will consent for me to serve on that? Okay. Off I run. Next is new business, would be the discussion of the IASB delegates for the November IASB conference. So we need, there's a few things we need to do for this. We need to discuss, or we need to appoint a delegate to serve, to go and vote on our behalf. And then we also have to look at the resolutions, not tonight, but we need to look at the resolutions and have a formal vote on how we as a board would like our delegate then to vote at the meeting in November. So two things for you to be a delegate. One, you have to want to do it, and two, you have to go to the meeting. So that would mean you'd be going to the conference. So if you're not going to the conference, then probably wouldn't be the best spot for you. So questions, answers, volunteers.
I know Tamika was our original delegate last year. Have we heard whether
I
she's
haven't heard
interested?
anything back
Okay.
from her.
I was the alternate and I ended up going and it was pretty cool. So I'd be willing to either be the delegate or the alternate if somebody else really wants to be the delegate.
I was the delegate the year before, and I will agree it was a pretty cool experience to watch that process unfold. But I'd like to let someone else get that experience. And Christy, yeah, you did go to the meeting, but you weren't involved in the sausage making ahead of time. So if you'd want to do it, I have no problem with you doing it.
You interested?
Jess wants to do it.
I don't know if I'm experienced enough, but I'm willing to learn,
No
so.
experience necessary.
I thought Tamika did a really nice job of getting everything together last year. So I would, if she's interested in being the delegate again, I'd want to
Okay.
give her the chance to say no.
If she wants to, give her the chance to see if she wants to continue to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then if
Okay.
not, maybe Jess and I we can decide who's the delegate, who's the alternate.
Okay, so if not Topeka, it'll be one of you two.
Unless Dr. Mack is really,
I would love to do it one of these days, but I don't have the bandwidth.
Okay.
So I'm supportive of everybody.
cool.
Okay,
Yeah, District 127 has a couple this year, so it should be interesting.
all right. I will reach out to Tamika and find out if she's interested, and then we'll just go from there. as long, and then I'll just let whoever's gonna be it know to do a formal kind of vote thing next, board meeting. Right, it's gotta be, because after that, we gotta go to the conference, so,
Okay, yeah, so
Right?
we better, yeah.
bing, bang, boom. Actually, we may have two. We have one in November, right?
Yeah, but I'm assuming you probably want to start the conversation next time. I feel like that's what happened last time, is that you kind of went through them all, and then there were questions that you had to come back to.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
couple that we came back to,
Yeah.
but they were a little more on the, I guess, controversial side.
Right.
Yep.
These seem pretty, the ones that I've read seem pretty straightforward. But
Are they,
there's only eight
is
of,
it
eight of
this?
them.
oh, there was like 13.
Yeah, there was like
last
13
year.
or 14 last year. There's only 8 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only 8. So,
That's a lot less,
yeah,
many fewer.
you should have gotten, yeah, you should have gotten like a thing in the mail either this week or last week. Says delegate assembly and, resolutions. I got a big one at home. Snail mail, yeah. So if not, you can find it on the ISB website. So, here it should have, cover should look like this. Should look like, that's the top cover. No. Am I the only one that got it at home? Okay. All right, that takes care of that. And then we have, topics for future agenda items.
Yep. Well, we're excited next month to invite members of the GMS softball team who won their conference tournament to come to the board and be celebrated. So that will be fun. Almost as much fun as the tentative 2022 tax levy presentation that we'll also have. What, that doesn't need to be at the top of the meeting, does it? Can we? Good, so we can celebrate the kids first. Awesome. Otherwise, they have to sit through that fantastic presentation. So, all right, so those two things, and then resolutions for the November IASB conference, and that's all I have at this time.
Anybody else have any topics, or were you getting into the shortened meeting season? Oh, I like that answer.
It's a good,
Perfect.
it's a good season. It's a good season and a great meeting for the two of you to be at. And you as well, Leslie.
Next are public comments. Did we have anybody signed up? Nope. Didn't think I saw anybody get up. And then we do have a need for a closed session meeting, so I need a motion to go into a closed session. We do not expect to take any action coming out of closed session today. We'll be just adjourning right afterwards, so you don't need to stick around. There won't be anything coming out after that. So I'll make the motion to go into closed.
LaCroy,
Aye.
Mack, Albert,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden.
Aye.
All right.